Hello and welcome back. This is video number 5, and we're going to talk about creating an avatar profile. So essentially what we're doing here is we're taking all the data that we did in the previous video and writing it all down. Okay, so what I want you to do is simply pull out a piece of paper or a notepad, whatever makes you feel like you're organizing, and let's jot things down. So like I said earlier, this is not set in stone. It's just giving you a better idea of who you could be targeting. So if we take a look at here, remember I started with any age and any gender, but we can see 55% of women on Facebook, 45% of men in Facebook. But we can see that in general, it seems like the most is men. But it does seem like it's 50-50, so we're just going to stick with both. Now, like I said, we see 25 to 34 as the age. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 25, like so. And we can kind of get us an idea that this is the majority, and then it kind of sinks down here. So let's just say we're going to start with this group here. And let's end it at 54. And now we have about 2.5 to about 3 million. So let's click on page likes. Now, before that, let me go ahead and jot things down. So location in this case is going to be the United States. The age is going to be 25 to 54. The gender is going to be all. And in this case, the interest is going to be scuba diving. So all you're doing is simply jotting down what you see. All right, so scrolling down here, we have relationship status. The majority are married with a college level education. So married, say relationship, and education, and job title. And remember, we see that the majority is production. So we're going to type in production, veterans, installation, repairs, etc. And the job title is not necessarily something that we're worried about right now. Most of the time, you're just going to target the location, the age, the gender, and the interest. And you can get more specific by targeting married. So we could target these. And then based on that information, we'll know more later. So let's scroll back to the top. And we'll go to page likes. And let's jot this down. So we've got clothing store. They like the 9-line apparel. And then they got Ray. They like Bass Pro Shops, which is not a clothing store, but it's a store. What products do they buy? What services do they use? What websites do they visit? What TV shows do they watch? So they watch the National Geographic. They like to visit All Recipes. And then we've got page likes. So what's the difference between this and this? So this is page likes, and these are actual categories that they're interested in. So we've got page likes, we've got Jenny Springs, Salt Life 9-line apparel. Now, what you're going to see here is relevance. Relevance basically means that in relation to scuba diving, how closely are these audience related? So obviously, the further you get away from how close they are to that interest. The closer you are to that interest, if that makes sense. So we have affinity level, which basically tells you how close they are to the audience that you're looking for. And the closer they are, the easier it is to target them, right? So it's always good to start with the ones closest to the top. So now remember, we saw location. We saw a lot of Florida, and we saw a lot of Hawaii. And then in terms of activity and devices, we saw that a lot of them use mobile devices. So iPhone, Android, etc. Now, you can further create this avatar profile. Another method is by going to google.com and looking for magazines. So why magazines? Well, if you flip through the magazine and you go through to the advertise page, you'll notice that these magazines have what we call a media rate card. And what this does is a lot of times it'll tell you the exact demographic and the exact avatar that you're trying to target. So let's type in, for the sake of simplicity, we'll type in food magazine, like so. And you can do food magazine advertise. So for example, the Food Network magazine media kit, the Food and Wine magazine. And bear in mind that we are not going to advertise on these networks necessarily. You can if you want to, but this will give us a better idea of the demographic. So essentially, a lot of these magazine companies, they want you to advertise. So in order to get you to advertise, they're going to provide you with the demographic information. So we can see here, besides this data here, sometimes if you scroll further down, it'll tell you stuff like this, like adults, it looks like mainly women, about probably 70% women or 90% women actually. It tells you the age group. So the majority are 18 and above, how much money they earn, if they have children, are they married, are they employed, what is their education level. So what I would do is I would go to Google and type in whatever your niche is, space, magazine, space, advertise. And most likely you'll be able to find this information. So food and wine, for example. If we go to the advertise, it'll give you an idea of who you're targeting. So audience right here, we can go and take a look at the audience profile and match it with the Food Network one and get a better idea of the patterns that show up. What are things that are consistent throughout, essentially? So that's another method that you can use. You don't have to, but I just wanted to give you more so that you can kind of target people in a more specific manner. So go ahead, write things down, and keep it saved on your computer. Hello and welcome to video number 6, and we're going to talk about the important Facebook ad rules. This is very, very important because, like I said earlier, if you do not follow Facebook rules, you can easily get banned, and it's very hard to get an ad account back. All right, so we want to make sure that we really go through the Facebook ad policy with a fine tooth. I'm going to show you a few things that are very important that you really need to pay close attention to, because at the end of the day, Facebook cares more about their customers, which essentially are their users, than you as the advertiser. Because if they offend their users, guess what? Word's going to spread and they're not going to want that. So we want to make sure that we do not offend people according to Facebook's rules. All right, so let's dive in. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to head on over to facebook.com/policies/ads. That's facebook.com/policies/ads. Okay, so when you get to this, you're going to see a lot of advertising policies, and you want to go through these. I know this is boring, but this is very important because if you don't follow Facebook's rules, they will simply ban you, and that will be tough. And what we've seen in the past is even if you do the right things sometimes, even if you make a little bit mistake, you can get banned or your ad account deleted. So Facebook is very, very, very a big stickler to rules. One big rule is how you talk to people. You don't want to say things like you're going to lose weight in a certain amount of days. You don't want to make these claims. So I'm going to show you in a second how to write your ads. So this is a good way to figure out what Facebook likes, what Facebook doesn't like. So policies, it says our advertising policies, sexually suggested content, Facebook brands. So what we want to do is we want to open these up in new windows. Okay, so personal attributes. This is big. Basically, Facebook does not like it when you point people out and say, hey, you're this, right? So you want to be as indirect as possible. Because Facebook is so powerful in the sense that you can target people of a specific race, education, gender, age, interest, and all of that, you have to be careful. So basically it says policy ads must not contain content that asserts or implies a person's race, ethnic origin, religion, beliefs, age, sexual orientation, mental status, financial status, or anything. So what's nice about this is Facebook gives you some examples. So it says, for example, ad creative that describes or shows the promoted product or service. So you can talk about your product and service all you want, but what you cannot do is refer to somebody and basically say, hey, meet so-and-so. So for example, race, you can say, meet Hispanic men online now, or find black singles today. Because what this does is it doesn't apply or imply that you are that race. So for example, it says meet other certain race singles near you. So what this implies is that you are black because it says the other. So you can't say meet other, whatever race, singles near you, because it implies that race. Or religion, it says date Christian singles, or looking for Buddhists near you. Meet Hindu singles online now. So this doesn't imply that you are this race. If you say, are you Christian? That's a surefire way to get banned. And age, same thing. Meet seniors. It doesn't imply that. You can, when you say meet other seniors, the word other or are you, that implies that person's demographic, and they do not like that. So like here, are you gay? Are you a lesbian? You have to be careful about that. Facebook does not like that. They really don't like that. Okay, so this is a big part of the policy. So make sure you go through that and make sure that when you write your ad copy that you comply with these policies. And then we have adult content. They definitely do not like nudity, implied nudity. They don't like anything that shows anything sexual in nature, abs, buttocks, chest. Even though it might not be offensive to you, it's definitely offensive to Facebook because they don't want to offend anyone. All right. Sexually explicit content. Even though it may not be nude, it's portraying excessive nudity like this. just even a chest or even a statue. So the statue's okay. It's a statue, so that's fine. But real life sexuality or a sexual nature is not okay. So what you need to do is go through the prohibited content, make sure that you're not in there. Weapons, third-party infringement, personal attributes, and all that. So I know this takes time, but you're going to be thankful in the future. Because when you get an account banned or deleted, that's just a headache. Another thing is brand usage in ads. They don't like it when you use other people's brands. If it's your brand, that's okay. But if you use something like Coca-Cola's brand in your ads, that means it's going to be a legal lawsuit against them. And they don't want that. All right. So they don't want to deal with that. So if we go back to the first page, we can see the ad review process. So we can get an idea of how they review ads. So it says during the ad review process, we'll check ads, images, text, targeting, and positioning. Now, usually by default, the Facebook robot will essentially approve your ad. But over time, you might be getting a manual review, which means an actual human may be reviewing your ad. Now, sometimes if you get your ads disapproved and you know you've read through and you've complied with those rules, then you can request a manual review, or you can contact them via support as well. So make sure you read through it is basically the gist of this video.